is we're going to have a mock draft coming up, guys. There's going to be 5:31, May 31, Friday, 7:30 Central Time. That's 8:30 Eastern Time. Uh, look at the comments. The link will be right there. We already have the draft room set up on Sleeper app. Just go in. You can go ahead and join ahead and then come back the day of the draft so you claim a spot. Or you come the day of the draft and join me and Austin in a live draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a 3-round draft. We're going to cover offensive and defensive players just like any other IDP league. So we would enjoy you guys' reactions, and maybe you could use our list to help you out. So welcome back to the Dynasty Football Maniac. So today we're going to be covering our defensive players. So we're going to start with, last time we did this, we did 5 and 5 and 5 of each position, or linebackers, DLs, and defensive backs. But this time, me and Austin actually, since we're going to get a little more in depth, we covered 10. We picked our top 10 players for each position. So we're going to start with the linebackers. Now, a little trick to linebackers and DLs, they kind of get mixed up. Sometimes we do put the LBs in the DL list, and sometimes we'll put a DL and LB. The reason why in fantasy, you'll find out a lot of these players will play dual roles. So you can draft them either DL or linebacker. But this is just me and Austin's projections and what we think and what we've seen on the roster and how these guys played in college, where we think they should be. Because edge rushers, it's like a flip of the coin. 1 minute they're a DL, 1 minute they're a linebacker in fantasy.
Yep.
But they're all relevant. And it really depends on the position they play on that line and where they play at, where the points matter. Especially in a full PPR league like we play. We play 6 points, interception, 6 points, sacks, 6 points, fumble. So, I mean, a good defensive player could really rack up points. Plus, he gets sacks by yards and a lot of other stuff. So the points can rack up quick for a defensive guy. They usually score, depending, a linebacker could get in the range of a running back or a high-end wide receiver. Just depending on how good they are. But then the difference between defense and offense, if you got one game out of the year, or maybe 2, you get a big fat 0. So, but offensive players do it too. So I had 2 wide receivers last year.
Or you could have an amazing game that like how Khalil Mack had in on our scoring system. Khalil Mack had a tremendous scoring game.
Yeah, he had like 100 points in your league, and in my league, he had like 90. That was crazy. But
yeah,
on top of that, that same week, Christian McCaffrey scored 80 points. So, I mean, just imagine having both of them on your team at the same time. You've done one that day.
Right.
So, yeah, it could be a different thing. So we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with linebackers today. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way up. Let's say majority of the list, you and me agree, except we have positions in different areas. Now, the 10s we don't agree on. You have a guy that I don't have ranked as your 10, and that's Travian Wallace from Kentucky. He was drafted in the 3rd round. He definitely had a great college career. I'm looking at it. He played Kentucky for 3 years. Solo tackles total was 93. Assists was 73. 166 total. I mean, that's pretty good. Sacks is what I'm looking at. His last year, he was 5.5 in sacks. That's good. I mean, and in interceptions, he had 3 total in his career. Last year, he had 1, and he ran it for 21 yards. So in our league, he would definitely do very well because he also did a pass deflection and a fumble. So, I mean, he racked up some points. I totally missed him because, honestly, I didn't even have him on my first rankings, which I ranked 20. But I did add him to this ranking, which I put him at 14 in my top 20.
Well, see, he wasn't even on my rankings when we first did this. But it just caught my eye, especially after the draft, and I started looking at everybody and where they're projected to be positioned at, and who they're either behind or who they're even in front of. And I thought it was interesting because he is right now projected to be an inside linebacker. And we know, inside linebackers are usually where your big money's at. That's usually the
Yeah.
that's usually the ones where, they're the tackle machines. And right now they just got him really behind Shaq Thomas, which I do believe if they play a 4-3 defense, they could easily have two middle linebackers, and Trevor Wallace will have one side while Shaq Thomas has the other side.
Yeah, I can honestly see that. And I think another thing is he's gonna be training behind Shaq Thomas. I mean, he's been in the league for a little while. Um, so yeah, I could see that. And the high potential just being doesn't mean if you're right behind, it depends on like what play they call. They could end up having two linebackers out there, like you said.
Right. Like
So
it's what's your 10th person? I want to hear you that one.
we're gonna wait a little while on my 10th.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
we're gonna go in your order and
Okay.
add mine to your order.
Okay.
So we're gonna my 10's a little bit cheaper into your 10. So
Mm,
we'll catch up to him in just a minute. Uh so we're gonna go to number 9 because we both agree with number 9. We both agree on uh Tommy from Ohio State, middle linebacker. He's
mm-hmm.
behind Divine. I mean, and then he said,
Diablo.
yeah, so I mean, he didn't do too hot last year. DeLabo had a lot of issues. So I can see Tommy kind of moving up to the front. Eichenberg. Whew, I had to take a deep breath. I could say the name, but I couldn't remember it. I'm sitting there like, oh, Eichenberg.
Okay.
So
I
I
was about
just,
I was gonna help you out if you needed it, but
no,
I
no.
knew.
I'm actually an Ohio State fan, and I was sitting there, got tongue tied right now. I was like,
Well, I
so
mean, you
Eichenberg.
have you have to be a pretty tough guy to play defense.
What's interesting about Eichenberg, and this is going to be good for him. I mean, he has a pretty good record for college. Um, he's going to be playing alongside Matt Crosby, and he's going to be on the end. Yes, he's your linebacker, defensive end guy on the end, but that draws a lot of attention off of you. So if you're anywhere remotely got a little bit of decency to you, and you got someone like Max Crosby on your team, and he's also got Christian Wilkins now, two dominant linebackers. I mean, or well, Christian Wilkins, a defensive lineman. These guys are going to tie everybody up. So that's going to open these middle linebackers and other positions up to go in and do some damage on the ground, either in the run game or a little bit of pass rush, deflect,
Right.
do a couple more extra sacks. So that's the exciting part. That's why I kind of ranked him 9. He is playing behind. And you'll find out most of these linebackers are playing behind someone that's a veteran.
Yeah, but
Um,
they could easily outbeat the veteran because
yes, defensive.
it's a different defense is a different animal than offense.
Yeah, you could be second in line and have just as much snaps as the first guy. So if you pay attention to defensive players individually, they could have. I could have a player on my team that has 48% of the snaps, and he can still score just as high as the guy that had 80%. It's
Yeah.
all on the plays and the lineup and what they do. So he has a high ceiling. So I would definitely you could pick him up. I got him ranked number 9, and so does Austin. Um, the next one we're still not to my 10,
Okay.
but we're at Austin's number 8 and my number 6. So this guy
Oh,
I'm a little
okay.
higher on him than Austin, but Austin also had him ranked, and he's a good guy. Cedric Gray, linebacker, played with North Carolina. Definitely put up the stats last year. I mean, compared to the 10 and the 9 we looked at, this guy's already passed him. He's also playing behind as a middle linebacker. Um, but like we said, any kind of lineup, this guy has high potential, high ceiling. Just looking at his performance in college, if he gets the plays down and he gets out there, gets a little touches, If you don't see these players hit it this year, defense is like an aging wine. It's not like offense. So we talk about offensive players starting to fall off as they're getting older, or injuries. Injuries is across the board, but like there is a difference between offense and defense. I've noticed defense. Some of your higher scoring defensive players have been playing in the league for 10 years, and they're like putting up fantasy points crazy. And I think it's a skill set they learn. It's
Uh,
a
it's all about experience.
experience, understanding what's coming at them and how they're going to address it. So I mean, you got to, when you're doing individual defensive players, they're not like your offensive players. You really got to dig in. You got to find out how much are they on the open tackles. Solo tackles mean a lot. Assist tackles mean good. Sacks are like touchdowns. Interceptions are like touchdowns. Pass deflections, not so much, but they're good. You get 2 or 3 points depending on what league. I think our league is a 2 point. Um, I'd have to look it up. Fumbles is 6, and then yards after that, and then you got to think about the sacks, the yards lost. They get points for. So like if you got like someone that just photos is that quarterback back 5 yards, that's points on him. Or you get a running back that tries to do a sweep on you, and you're good at open tackle. Knock him back by 10 yards. You're ranking the points in then, like Keel Mack did last year. So Austin had him ranked 8. I had him ranked 6. And then we're going to go to my number 7, which Austin did not have ranked. That's why we're going to discuss
Uh,
him left.
okay.
Maris Leofau for Notre Dame got drafted by Dallas Cowboys. Now, he didn't.
Okay.
I had a look at him. Senior year looked a little bit better. He had 3 sacks, 6-yard loss. He had 23 solos. So just the kind of lineup, he's right behind Damian Clark, and he's playing a wide linebacker. So he's going to be on the edge, middle, but he has a pretty decent ceiling. I think it's more speedster. And if you got Michael Parson and all them guys on the line, and Mazzie Smith that's holding the line down, this guy's got a little bit of up and go. He can get around them guys and get in there quicker. It'd be a different touch to Dallas's defense. Now, I'm nothing away from Micah Parson. That guy right there is a beast himself. But he's also a heavy hitter. So if you can get him on the line, holding people back and getting that, pushing that line, and you get a speedster behind him that could go up and run around like Latu or something, I mean, that would be pretty impressive for Dallas, I think.
Okay. Okay. I can see it.
Because I've really never seen that with Dallas. So that's why it was an odd pick for Dallas in the 3rd round, I thought, because they usually don't go for the small speedster like that. But maybe they got some plans for him. He's really not that small.
Well, I mean, we got to
Well,
find
he
out.
is. He's 6'2", 235 pounds. That's pretty small for linebacker.
Well, we got to find somebody on the other side to help Parsons out.
Yeah, and that'd be a good thing right there. So we're gonna go on to the next one, which is your number 7, and we finally got to my 10. So here's my 10 at your 7. And that's Javion Solomon. So he got drafted to the Buffalo Bills from Troy. I had him in my rankings, pre-rankings. He was my 10th then. He's still my 10th. I did not move him up. I kept him my 10th. He does have a pretty impressive record. Um, the thing is I'm a little worried about where he's positioned at. He is 3rd, but he is only behind Von Miller, which is injury prone, like you would not believe. And it's not, yes, it is I'm gonna say it's time, Von Miller. You might need to retire. I mean, there's so much abuse your body could take, and I think you've done had it, but that's just my opinion. You burnt me last year as a defensive player, and you burnt me the year before. So that's just,
Well, I mean, all their linebackers are injury prone.
I know, but he's getting really bad. He used to be a star.
I know, but still, That's the reason why I have him at number 7 because all these guys are just so injury prone. I could
Yeah,
literally see Javion just jumping up, actually getting a starting spot because most of these linebackers they just
they
can't
take a
stay
beating.
healthy. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to stay healthy in the defensive side of the ball, but there's a lot of them that play through injuries and do very, very well through the season. You might missed a few games, and that's the thing with defensive players. I've noticed even if they get 60% of the snaps and still get 0 points, some are just they're not out there not playing. They're playing, but it's not. I
Well,
don't know how to say it.
they're making other impact plays, but it doesn't show on the stat sheet.
Right. That's what I was trying to get at. Some of the things they're
'Cause
doing is making other.
because a lot of times they'll pressure the quarterback and knock him back and get him scared, but you don't see it on the stat sheet. And you won't see it on the fantasy points or whatever, but that's still a big impact play.
Moving on to the next one, we got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He went to the Eagles. And guess what?
Mhm.
He didn't play for Georgia. So that's a good
That,
positive thing out of the whole thing, I thought.
that about damn time.
Hey, before we're getting so far along here, I forgot to mention, and I want to get it out real quick because I want to mention it all through the episode, is we're going to have a mock draft coming up, guys. There's going to be uh 5:31, May 31, Friday, 7:30 Central Time. That's 8:30 Eastern Time. Uh, look at the comment. The link will be right there. We already have the draft room set up on Sleeper app. Just go in. You can go ahead and join ahead and then come back the day of the draft so you claim a spot. Or you come the day of the draft and join me and Austin in a live draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a 3-round draft. We're going to cover offensive and defensive players just like any other IDP league. So we would enjoy you guys' reactions, and maybe you could use our list to help you out. Let's sit here running through all this stuff and forgot to mention that. And also keep hitting the like button. This is really helping our show out, and keep subscribing. We want more of you guys to start listening, give you the best information we could possibly provide you. It's not always right. It could be wrong, so don't hold us to it.
Hey,
I mean,
who's actually 100% right all the time?
that's right. There's nobody out there that's 100% right.
Exactly.
So we kind of jumped off a little track there, but that's fine. We get back on here. We're at number Austin 6, my 8. So here's my 8, your 6. It's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He went to the Eagles. Um, he is playing behind somebody too, but I think
He's he's
he,
playing he's playing right behind Nakobe Dean.
yeah, I had a technical difficulties here. I'm trying to zoom back in my camera here.
It's all good. It's all good. I
Can't read
still
that small print.
I still I really believe he could have a shot, especially if one of these people go down.
And that's it. Sometimes they're lined up under a certain position because right now what we're looking at is the depth chart. And like I said, so these players are marked LBDL. And whatever the defensive need is, these players can be shifted to different positions throughout the year. It happened. The player we're talking about right now is listed as a linebacker. Uh, most of his career, he's played linebacker, but you're going to get in some of these linebackers that's played defensive tackle, defensive end, DL positions, and they're universal. So, and a lot of these guys, let me give you an example. Jalen Carter started behind his guy last year for the Eagles. He's the starter this year, but he got that position like within the first 4 games of the season. So anything can happen with defense. So I'm high on Jeremiah Trotter. I think he's going to do great at the Eagles. The position they got him in, it's a nice one. So I mean, kind of see where it goes.
Yep.
Austin's a little higher on him than I am. I'm not that
I
high on him, but I'm
I
an
I
8.
I thought you were gonna come on my level with him.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't. I'm sorry. But what shocked me is the next one we did get on the same level because in the beginning of the year when we were drafting, not drafted, but ranking, you and me were not on the same page with this guy. But I think after where he landed, re-looking at the stats, having a conversation, number 5, I agree with you, is Chris Braswell.
And
Uh,
it's all about that landing spot too. It's
yeah,
all
he's
about that
he's
landing
got a good
spot.
landing spot. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had a lot of defensive players through the rookie draft. They got a lot of veterans. They got a lot of people fill-ins, 1-year contracts, trying to build that defense back up. Buccaneers have always been known for a good defense, so it's definitely exciting to see what Chris did for Alabama. Uh, what's he going to do for the Buccaneers? Because I think after re-looking at some of his stats, I think he's going to actually have a pretty decent NFL career. So that's one reason why I put him at 5.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I just like the landing spot, and I can see him definitely carving himself out a role on here on this defense because, like you said, it really just depends on what the coaching staff wants them to play at and what the defensive scheme is calling them to do. So, but I really like where he landed because I think gonna. I think when he does get the snaps, I think it'll be really good.
Yeah. You got to think about it. OTAs are going on right now. And after OTAs, some of these depth charts change. And then spring training comes up. And guess what? The depth charts change again. So by the time we get to the start of the season where we're naming these players in the depth chart, might not be in them actual positions. The next one, you and me are a little bit together on it. You're not as high on them as I am high on them. I have him ranked 3. You have him ranked 4, and that is Edrin Cooper. He is the starter middle linebacker
Yeah,
for the Green Bay Packers.
they desperately needed one.
Yes, they did, and they desperately needed a lot. So they also picked up quite a few undrafted and drafted defensive players, but they needed to fill some spots, and I think they did during this draft. I don't think they got everything they needed, and then is also we got to understand what's going to happen next year and how these players are going to play and what is their impact going to be because now they're at the NFL level. It's a whole different level. There's people I thought would make it to that level, didn't make it to that level. So I mean, you really got to have the talent to stay in there. So, but the funny thing is the next one you and me just swap. It's like Junior Colson. You're a 3, I'm a 4. So it's like, well, all we did was swap them 2 around. Um, Junior, I did get to watch him play for Michigan. Uh, not on the finest day of my day when I watched him play. But I watched him play, and yes, he has a lot of abilities. I do believe he does have a higher ceiling than some of the other players I mentioned ahead. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Um, Chargers, it's a rebuild. I mean, you got Hardball down there now. A lot of things are going to happen different. And it's kind of funny that he grabbed his Michigan guy, but he grabbed his Michigan guy. I guess it
well,
makes sense.
well, yeah, because they're gonna need him eventually when Khalil Mack decides to finally give it up. Because they restructured his contract, so I mean, there's no telling how much longer Khalil Mack's gonna be there. And I know Khalil Mack rushes, but he's still considered a right linebacker right now. And even if they got Junior as they got him, yeah, they actually got him at the inside. They still got
Yeah,
him drafted on the inside,
yeah,
but
yeah. He,
I mean, they could swap they could just swing him out there on the end, well, how
yeah.
Khalil Mack does if he really impresses in the OTAs, and I really do think he will. So, I mean, but
I'll,
either way, you can't really go wrong. Right now, it's just Adrian Cooper is just I mean, yeah, I can see why you would put him at 3 because he's already got us technically right now, they got him projected as already the starter. But I mean,
Right.
like you said, even when we go through these OTAs and then when training camp hits, and then when we get into preseason, I mean, there are gonna be moves and cuts and stuff. Hell, Junior could probably done carve himself a role. So either way, you can't really go wrong with either one.
And the next two you and me are going to agree on. We're not going to disagree with the top two. You finally joined me in the hype. I remember initially when we drafted these, I'm saying draft. When we
Mhm.
first ranked them, you weren't as hyped on this guy as I was.
You're ready
But
for the draft.
yeah, I am so ready for a draft. I am like his like right there. I can't get it off my head. Uh, so remember that's 5:31 Friday, 7:30 Eastern time, 8:30 no 7:30 Central time, 8:30 Eastern time. Join us. We're definitely gonna have a lot of fun. Uh,
Yes.
it's on the Sleeper app. We'll post it down in the comments. You guys can click on the app, go to it, download it on your phone. If you've never been to Sleeper, fool around. We're not advertising Sleeper, but I like that platform a lot. I play on many platforms. I play on Yahoo, ESPN, Sleeper. I played on NFL, played on even CBS. So I mean, I've been around. I've touched, kind of played on a lot of different apps. So yeah, you definitely need to go. If you've not been to Sleeper app, click on the link, go to the mock draft, enjoy yourself, look around. There's a lot
I
more to offer than fantasy football.
I really like Sleeper, and yeah, you're right. We're not a sponsor, but I really like Sleeper because there's just so much you can do on it. There's so much you can set on. They have so many different options that you can do. It's just crazy
Yep.
because we're actually doing a stat league that we just randomly
Yeah.
that we had a couple other guys that just randomly came up with that we're able to do because of the Sleeper app. So I really love using the Sleeper app.
Yeah. You'd never be able to do that on Yahoo or ESPN.
No.
It would be so complicated to try to set up. And I'm a commissioner in all three of them apps. So I know the rocks and what I can do and what I
Yep.
can't do as a commissioner. And Sleeper gives you a little bit more, like it should. It doesn't make me cheat because you don't want that. Like I can't change scores and stuff, but like I could set up a league that's pretty interesting.
Right.
Uh, so our number
But
two, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but you said that I finally got on the bandwagon with Peyton Wilson as our number two guy. And
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't too keen on him whenever he was cut on that when we first did our initial rankings, but man, whenever I saw him get drafted to the Steelers, I just couldn't help but love that spot. So that's the
Yeah.
reason. That's the reason why I have him so high. The only concern is if he can stay healthy. Other than that, I mean, especially with the great landing spot that he's got, I think it'll just be fantastic.
And he stayed pretty healthy through his college year. He had a little issue in 21, but he played full games 19, 20, 22, 23. So I like the experience he's coming with. And that's a good thing for a linebacker. When you got that many years experience and you're going in the NFL, and that's like I was saying, defensive players age like wine as they adapt. And so does offensive players. They get better too as they go. But you notice defensive players really get on the top of their game as they're playing. So it's like I'm excited to see what he can do at the Steelers, especially TJ Watt there and the way he's been going off when he's not injured. So I
Well, he's
definitely,
also he's also I don't mean to cut you off, but he's also learning with Patrick Queen as well because they got Patrick Queen in the off season.
yep, yep. They got Patrick Queen. He's playing left linebacker. Peyton is positioned in right linebacker inside. So Patrick Queen's on the same side as TJ Watt. You got to think Cameron Hayward, he's getting close to his retirement. I don't know if I don't think it's this year. Yeah, that defensive line, I think Peyton's going to definitely bring something to it, and it's going to be exciting to watch. He's definitely under my radar to try to draft in my
Right.
dynasty.
Right.
we got to get to our number one. And our number one is Dallas Turner. So we both agreed Dallas Turner from Alabama is the number one linebacker. Um,
But
he's
he could
playing
also.
behind. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say he could be also if you like, we got him as number one in the linebacker, but you can also make the argument for if they were to throw him on the defensive line, he could be top, the top one on the defensive line as well. It does,
Yes.
but right now, since they got him projected to be the starter, or he's going to be on the linebacking crew, so we're just gonna we're just gonna rock with the linebackers until they prove me that he's going to be on the defensive line. So,
Yeah.
but
They got him behind
continue.
Andrew Van
I
Winkle.
he's I think he's going to surpass him.
I think he will too if you watch Dallas play. And I'm not talking about the team Dallas. I'm talking about Dallas
Oh
Turner.
no, I absolutely. Absolutely.
You know I always have to get my Dallas jokes in. You got to let me do that.
Well, I mean, the Eagles is just a joke on its own, so I don't have to tell that.
Oh wow. Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's
Look, you started it, okay?
yep, yep,
I
yep.
wasn't I wasn't gonna say nothing, but you know what? We got this out of the way, so let's continue.
Yeah, so that covers our list. Like I said, we both agreed Dallas Turner number one. Number two is Peyton Wilson. We both agree on that. And then three is where we differed a little bit. You had Junior Colson, I had Edgerton Cooper, but then we both had them ranked four and three. So it's kind of like swapped them around. And we both agreed on Chris Baswell. So I mean, this is our top 10 linebackers, and I want you guys to understand we have them listed as linebackers, and yes, they are listed as linebackers. But the next list we cover in the next episode will be DLs, and they're kind of linebackers and DLs too. They can swap either way.
All right.
If you like the content, please hit the like button, subscribe. We will post all this on the Twitter page, the Dynasty Football Maniacs. That's TDFFMS on the X or Twitter, whatever, former X. Also, don't
X.
that's right, X. Also,
X.
don't forget we got a live draft we're gonna do on Friday. Today is Wednesday. Friday we're gonna do a draft. It's gonna be May 31st, 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. Everybody can join us, no matter where you're at in the world, whatever time it is. Download the app, get on there, and join us. There is a little chat box in there. We'll say hi to you, and yes, we'll
Yep.
be talking about you as you're drafting. But that's part of the whole thing is to try to see what people are going to pick.
Well, I mean, they're more than welcome to chat along with us.
Yes, you can talk about us too.
Yes.
You can tell us we're doing bad, we're doing good, and you love our show. Please don't hesitate to comment. Any feedback will be great feedback.
Exactly.
You have anything else?
Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna repeat what he said, but also make sure you share because sharing is caring.
That's right. Sharon is Karen.